You're listening to Becoming CEO, where we share our journeys as solo founders to becoming the CEO of seven-figure businesses.
And these are our behind-the-scenes conversations as we figure it out, and these are things that most people just aren't sharing.
What's got you so triggered, Greg?
Well, so actually, first I'll start off with, I'm super grateful, man, because I put this post on Facebook the other day. Basically just saying in entrepreneurship, it's crazy when you can have a day that has you swing from one end of the spectrum, defeated, depressed, sad, and swing all the way back to optimistic, super excited, anxious to get to work, and like fully stoked. And sometimes those pendulum swings can happen all in a matter of moments. And so for me, we just lost a client that I care a lot about, that I think we did a lot of great things with. And like, I love them to death. My motto is we can be awkward or we can be awesome. I'm always going to be awesome. Like, we're still friends, love them to death, wish them the best. I just didn't really get an explanation as to why they were leaving and didn't get the opportunity to learn. And it was it was like via email, and I think yes, there should have been written communication. I think if it were me, I would have wanted to have that conversation face to face. Like, if I were to have been deep in the game working with a coach or mentor, and I'm need to get out for whatever reason, I feel like I would at least owe them that. And I think for me, I just felt like I deserve that. Whether that's right or wrong, that's how I felt in that moment. And so I was kind of hit hard. On the flip side of that, so that's what got me triggered. And so my day started out that way. I was in day 3 of a mastermind that, because of the global time zone, was starting for me in the mid to late afternoon and going into my evening. And so my day started off with this negative thing that made me feel crappy, bookended by something that I know was going to feel amazing. And I had some homework that I needed to do to prepare for that event. And I found myself context switching between dealing with this negative thing, communicating with the team, trying to get in touch with this person, then taking a break, squeezing in the work that gets me back to being motivated and preparing for this event. And it just led to me having these big pendulum swings, for the lack of a better example, really quickly in really short gaps of time, that really kind of threw me for a loop, to be honest. And I should have, looking back on it, and this is just less than 24 hours ago at this point, I should have said whatever I did with that instance, and then walked away from it, and then focused the rest of the day on this thing that I needed to focus on entirely, and then revisit the next day. I don't think I said anything or did anything that I regret or wouldn't have done. It's just how it impacted me the rest of the day. Felt like I could have shown up the rest of the day more efficient for this mastermind. So that's what happened. But I posted about it on Facebook, and honestly, when I wrote it, I didn't think that it sounded like, some people were like, hell yeah, way to go. And some people were like, totally been there. But I've had a handful of really close friends reach out and hey, saw your post, just want to make sure you're cool, everything okay, always here to talk, which I'm that was really cool. Not that I was doing it to receive any sort of thing like that, but I'm man, that, the amount of individual love that I just got, and actually am still getting at the moment, is pretty cool. But apparently a lot of other people feel the same way. And I think just like that post where I was being vulnerable and sharing what happened, the people that came out saying, oh my God, I've been dealing with this, that's sort of what I want this show to be about, right? We're sharing things that I don't think necessarily are always pretty. It's not the highlight reel that you're probably thinking or have experienced, maybe thinking you're the only one, but we talk about these things. And so hopefully these things are exposed, good, bad, ugly, not to segue into the show, but that's what happened for me.
And honest, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm annoyed that you care so much.
I sometimes
I'll tell you
am
why.
too.
Hold on.
I sometimes am too.
I'm frustrated with you right now. I have 3 issues with this whole thing. Okay. And I get it. Like, I understand.
Yeah.
I get it. Right. But I have 3 issues with this whole thing. And I might be forgetting them. But number one is you're holding them to your standards. That's my first problem. This whole notion of like, well, if it was me and I was working with you, have high standards, dude.
Totally right.
And that's, frankly, it's a sign
selfish.
of, that's people. Well, no, people who are at the top tend to have high standards.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence that you do well. You have high standards for yourself. Not everybody does, and it's not fair to hold them to that. Over time, we hope their standards go up and they conduct themselves in a certain way, but you can't hold your standards today and compare that and apply that to their standards today, because they might not be where you're at.
Sure.
And your standards weren't always as good, most likely, nor were mine.
Correct. So that's a very good analysis.
That's one of 3. Okay.
Okay.
One of 3. Second is you're just assuming this is a bad thing, but I haven't heard any evidence that there's actually any negativity in the situation, that they're upset or unhappy, or it was there's a bad reason for them to leave. I've heard no evidence of that yet, but tell me if I'm wrong.
I think there's a little bit of evidence via the email that was written and how it was written. And obviously I'm interpreting
because it was terse.
I'm interpreting how the tone, like I can't hear tone, right? In an email. So that's an assumption. But the way I read it, I was like, what happened? Like, where did this go? Like, it sounds like you think I'm mad at you or something. Like, I don't know what it was, but like, that's how I interpret it. And we also always communicate on Voxer. So like, I followed up my email with a Vox. Like, I just want you to hear my heart on this. Like, so you don't misinterpret the email, because this is like where I'm coming from. Like, I love you guys. Like wish you the best. I'm not trying to like get your money back. I'm not trying to I was offering free help, to help you get through this hurdle that you're experiencing, and it was just like, yeah. So I don't know, maybe that was wrong of me to do, but like, I don't know, that's where I come from.
Not wrong of you to do, but I think that there's a very good explanation for all of that. And I've had all of the same experiences, right? To be clear, I think there's a very good explanation for that, especially where there's a strong personal relationship, is that sometimes it's very hard to separate business decisions from personal relationships. Right. So I'm thinking about a client of mine, right, who, similar situation, really good guy, was very successful. We did really well. We had a great relationship. I think he really looked up to me as a mentor, and didn't communicate with me when he was leaving, communicated with our head of client success, but was very like kind of direct and terse, and was like, it wasn't like a, hey, because we get this all the time too, as you, right? Hey, it's been great. Really love working with you guys. Been super helpful. I think I'm going to go move on my way now. It was like, no, we need to stop now. Right. And I think that often is the case when there are strong personal relationships, because they don't want to mix the two. Right. They don't want to, they don't want the business relationship to get conflated with the person. So they're being very clear, like almost to a fault, clear and direct in ending the business relationship, because they don't want to confuse the two, right? And now he still sends me messages on LinkedIn via DM and shares books with me, and we have that kind of relationship personally. But I think like almost the direct, borderline terseness of the business communication is done by design to not conflate that with the personal. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I had a third. I don't remember what it was.
I mean, those two were bangers. So,
I mean, there's all kinds of reasons. I guess the third is catch-all. There's all kinds of reasons why they could terminate with you that have nothing to do with you or what you did.
Yeah.
So
and 100%. This has happened. Like, I've had an experience like this before. It's been a while. And like, I mean, it was less than 24 hours ago. Like, I'm good. Like, it happened yesterday. I'm moving forward. Like, we have plenty of other clients to serve and plenty of new ones to serve and future clients to serve. And like, I'm still I am dedicated to the mission. I obviously wish it would have gone a different way, but it didn't. And so onward. right? Like it's behind me now. Cool. But yeah, in that moment, it sucked, and that's
What's
just how it went down.
what's your expectation? I mean, here's a question for you. What's your expectation on when clients leave?
Yeah.
Like, do you expect them to stay for longer than they do, or like what? Yeah, what's your thinking around that?
I'll have to do it in another episode because I don't have it in front of me. But we, not because of this issue, but it's actually in our contract that these people signed and all new clients signed. But we have a kickoff call onboarding, and I go through this list of expectations. I'm like, here are the things that we must do. And that list, by the way, we as an alt agency must do as a part of this agreement. That list is way effing longer than the list of what they must do. I think there's like 15 things on our side, and what we expect them to be responsible for is like on a hand. But one of those is that if we do something wrong, that you tell us as soon as possible, so that you give us a chance to correct it. And I literally say, do you agree? Because you actually already signed the contract, but I know nobody reads that. So like wave your hand in the camera right now and tell me that like you will honor that. And so like in this example, I didn't do this when that visual agreement didn't happen when they came on, so I can't fault them for it. But like right now, like we do that. And so like I want you to honor your word that if I do something wrong and you're mad at me or our team for anything, that you at least tell me about it and give us a chance to fix it. That's it. So that's one. And that's really the main one as it relates to that. If I don't expect someone to stay with us forever. However, when I know that we're in the middle of executing, one of the things that I say we must do is hold you to a higher standard than you hold yourself, which maybe that's not fair, but like, I know that people have held me to a higher standard and that's how I've grown. And so like, I felt I'm responsible to hold you to this standard. And if you're trying to if I'm trying to help you, right? Like the analogy of like, if we're on a boat and you fall overboard and there's a current and you're floating away. If I dive in to try to save you, you shouldn't swim away. You should swim towards me, right? Like you swimming away actually puts us both at risk. And so like, run towards me when you need help. Don't run away. Like we're your coach. We're here to help. So when I know that there's a situation that we can help with, like we've had clients that have outgrown what I'm capable of teaching. I'm not trying to teach someone. I can't teach someone how to get to 3 million yet because I'm on my way. But I can teach someone to get through 1 million, and I for sure as hell can teach someone to get through from where they're at to where they want to be. And I committed to hold them to that standard in my agreement. And so hey, like if it's a financial thing, like and it was shared that there was financials related. And I was like, sweet, we'll pause your payment for 2 months. But like, let's get on a call and put together an action plan to set up you coming back in and being able to participate again. And that's a part of, I think, our job, and what we're responsible for is weaponizing these people to get through some of these tough phases. That's why I invest in help. Right. And they've shared and these people specifically had shared with me that there was another moment these people went through where we came out the other side and they were super grateful. And it's it kind of was a similar situation. And I was like, man, we can fix this. There's a few things that, we can tweak over here. We could do over there. Let's go look at your numbers. Cause they were bloated and overspending and that was hurting them for where they were at. So anyway, that's what I expect. And we now communicate that in our onboarding call and I get a verbal agreement. Hey, y'all agree that this is you agree to those things. I'm agreeing to these things. So this is how we're going to operate. For right or for wrong, that's what we do.
I have a slightly different philosophy.
It's fine.
And I don't disagree with anything you said, but I think there's some interesting nuance here that could be useful to get into. Like similar to you, we can get people to a certain level. I talked to somebody yesterday, for example, um, who's already at about $4 or $5 million, wants to double to 10. I mean, I have opinions, and we dug into his marketing and his like, and I get, as a consultant, I have opinions, smart opinions, right, about what he
Mm-hmm.
should do, but I don't have an offer for that, right? So I said we
Right.
can't work together. Happy to advise and casually and keep in touch, but we can't work together, right? So I'm with you. We can get people to a certain level. Um, at the same time, I know I've been part of experiences as the client where it's like we're just done, and it's not bad, right? We're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And have I
Yeah.
gotten to the level yet? No, I haven't gotten to the level yet. But we're
Yeah.
done. And for me, it's usually because I just feel like I've extracted the value I'm going to extract from the
Fair.
relationship, and I might not be at the level, but I've gotten the thing, and I'm grateful for it. But we're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I see that with our clients all the time. It's like, are they where I want them to be? No. But I read their exiting as, hey, I got what I needed, and and that's it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm not mad at these people at all. Like, I want nothing, literally nothing but the best. I would have loved to have more context so that I could improve if there's room for improvement, right? Like, that's all. Like, because I think that as we've talked about maybe on other episodes, I'm not sure, is like, I think getting from, and from what I've been taught from the people ahead of me, getting from 1 to 3 and specifically 3 to 10 isn't about necessarily front loading and your acquisition. It's like getting people to stay longer and increase that LTV. And so, like, when someone leaves and you don't know why, you can't look for opportunities for improvement. Like, I want to grow. I don't need them to come back. Like, but I want to make sure that if there was something that I missed that I can fix so that this doesn't happen with someone else, I would love the opportunity to know that. And that's all I was seeking. They can go do whatever. Like, they'll be great. They'll be fine. So I agree on, like, yeah, some people got to go. You learn what you need. Our program's actively improving. Like, I look at it as an evergreen product. Like, maybe there was a nugget in there that, like, oh, this thing that we're gonna be doing, it's on the schedule, probably would have mitigated that. So, like, sweet. Like, while it didn't work for them, there's something in the plan. Like, that's, again, maybe that's asking too much, but that's where I was coming from.
Yeah, I feel like we probably also differ in our attitudes around learning from customer feedback and experience. You and
I mean,
I may be totally wrong about it. Like, to be clear, I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
saying I like. I just sense that you're a lot more, and this is probably another episode. Like, you seem a lot more open to customer feedback than
Yeah,
I don't know that I
I,
would say that I am. Like, maybe me personally, I think as a company we're probably pretty open, and our client success team is better at this than I am. Um,
yeah.
Anyhow, that's just something I noticed. Like, you're very. It's probably a good thing if you're very open to that conversation, more so than me.
Yeah, I mean, the conversation typically sucks. But yeah, I mean, if I can't learn, then I don't know how to keep it from happening again. And again, maybe it's not something that is needs to be fixed, right? Like, but I'd also like to, if you like, like, when you hear something, you're like, all right, that's a good piece of information. I don't believe I need to act on that because of these other indicators. But,
Yes.
like, if they say something that I actually maybe have heard a number of times that we haven't acted on, that's maybe on this list of things that we had been thinking about, like, that might prioritize something that wasn't prioritized, or
Yeah.
if you hear it enough times, and so that's, like, I'm looking for data points on that. And again, like, some of the
You're
folks
looking
that
for you're
at
looking for
least I
trends,
follow.
really.
Yeah, yeah. And some of the things that again, back to that point of, like, sustainability to me is going to come from, having a lot of clients staying for longer. The folks that are above me that I talk to in this regard are like, you should only take feedback from the people you pay, the people that pay you, and your wife and your kids, and then, like, in order, and then last, like, maybe your close peer network. But, like, these people pay me to help them. And a lot of other people do too. And so like I should take their feedback, and I take the feedback of the mentors that I pay because I paid for their feedback, you know? Joe Schmo who comments on my Facebook ad, like whatever, like I wouldn't pay him for his advice, so I'm not going to pay him for his criticism, you know? So like, but when a client is like, hey, I've been giving you money for help and now I'm out, I think there's definitely room to learn from that. And so, yeah, I am open to that feedback.
I'll tell you my big caveat. I think I found out what it is. My big caveat around
Mm-hmm. Was
not
this the number
taking
three?
feedback from clients. No, no. And it's not about taking feedback from clients. You can take feedback all you want. It's fine, right? It's about what you do with it. My filter or
Yes.
my concern with that gone wrong is, especially in our industry, business coaching and growth, right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
if a client doesn't get results, not everybody, some clients, this is human nature, some humans, if they don't get results,
Mm-hmm.
they will find every way possible to externalize blame. Some people are just like that,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't want to, I don't want to take feedback from somebody to heart who's just looking for someone to point fingers at instead of pointing the finger at themselves. And the key is knowing the difference, and that's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess that one doesn't really resonate for this particular experience, but for sure, like, yeah. And one of the thoughts that I was having last night, and I've had a conversation with you about this. Like, there was a session where it's like, look, the term for 1 to 3 million was defined as, I don't know if I said this on the last episode, it was defined as the swamp of success. And I heard it by this guy named Sharan Shrivata, who had like a 9-figure exit. He coaches people now, but he's like a real estate brokerage that sold. I believe I'm still learning more about him, but he goes, "Oh, you're between 1 and 3 million. You're in the swamp of success." He's like, the best year of your business career was the year you hit 1 million. The next best year is going to be the year you cross over three. He's like, so the goal is to get there as fast as possible. And I was like, wow, that really hit home, bro. Thanks. But the kind of that led to like a larger discussion of and one of the people in this group does things very counter to what our quote unquote our space, I'm doing air quotes, does. And they said, look, like wherever you're at, you have this opportunity now. Like maybe things are going great, maybe things are like we want things to be better, but like you have the opportunity to um, design it however you want. Like it doesn't like, and there were literally like the quintessential how people run high ticket programs over here on one side of the room, and then there were some people that are like, wow, like you're making more money than the person over here doing the what everyone else is doing, and your life looks way better. And I would have never thought to do some of those things ever in my life, ever. And yet I feel like I have this little laundry list of things that I've wanted to do inside of my own programs and products that I've never really done because it, when I look from the outside, it hasn't fit the mold.
Mm.
And so I think when I hear that feedback, or if I got the feedback from these clients, if it's any indicator that there's this thing on this list that I've been holding back on because it's not what everyone else is doing, I think
Right.
it would have been like, oh, I should have trusted my gut when I wanted to do it in the first place. And just that, me saying this now on this podcast, it's like the phase that I'm in, y'all, is like, I'm actually going to honor that list anyway, because like, I don't need to, like, it's my business. And I know that there's a lot of other people, A, that have done it however they want it, because now I've seen plenty of examples, and B, that probably want the same similar thing that I want. And if I create that, then those people will come to me, and all of the people that are against the things that I sort of am against too, they'll go somewhere else, and cool. Then they're not in my world. And so um, I think that's what, if I'm trying to like give myself therapy, I think that's what I was looking for from these little moments of feedback. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like that totally justifies this thing that I've been wanting to do that's been in the back pocket. Like, F it, I'm going to do it anyway. You know? So I don't know.
I have a
Hopefully this
whole
is
other
helpful to
question for you
somebody.
now. Yeah, well, it's probably a separate episode, but now I'm wondering is if 1 to 3 million is the swamp of success and you want to get to three as fast as possible, is the way to get to three as fast as possible by sticking to a model and putting your head down and executing on it, or by innovating?
Innovating. Well, so at least from the feedback from this group, and again, I'm still triangulating this feedback myself, but there was this kind of, hey, everyone write down, if you were giving advice to someone going from 1 to 3, one piece of advice, what would it be? And there was like hundreds of posts. Like, and the room, by the way, is people above 1 million. The highest person in the room was doing 1 million a week. Like the 1 to 3 million crew were like, we were like the little baby turtles. Like there was like way fewer of us than there were people like above 3 and above 10. And obviously you're in a Zoom call, so like you're seeing this flood of just comments coming through. And I was scrolling through it afterwards, and like they called out the themes. Simplify your business. That means killing off products that don't work, combining products together, increasing your LTV, um, optimizing the team, meaning like you probably don't have the right butts in the right seats. Um, that was by far and away the feedback. There were some other ones like your entire team should be in house, which was a little debatable, but like there was a lot of people that were like, I'm never hiring agencies again. Like everything's coming in house, but it was mostly like you have to simplify in order to multiply. And when that was like the words that came out, but when the few folks that they pulled onto the call articulated this, innovation was sort of the thing that came up. It was like, look, the model got you here. If you're dedicated to growing this thing to above 3, and this is why I feel like where I'm at right now is pivotal, because look, if I'm going to get past 3 in a model that I'm not super stoked about, I'm probably not going to be motivated, which means it's probably going to take longer, and I'm probably not even going to want to go to 10, and I'll probably burn out or fail or not enjoy it. And so like if me innovating and making sure it's what I want it to be, I'm probably going to be way more excited about powering through to 3, even more excited and like, oh, I can see what 10 looks like doing it this way. And that sounds exciting because it has all of these ingredients that like light me up versus continuing following the same playbook as everybody else. And I think that was like, I was journaling last night, and that was like, when I rated the exercise was like, I forget the scaling system, so forgive me, but it was like, rate yourself in these departments. And on my marketing, it was like 2 out of 4. It was like not going well, needs to change, or like we won't survive. Now I'm hard on myself, so like I don't think that's as severe. But what came up in my writing is we're using the same playbooks as everybody else. Like, yes, I look maybe a little bit different. The content I create is a little bit different, and we get people that mention that. We're not going to win if we just use everyone else's playbooks, right? So like, now is the time to innovate. Now is the time to like, hey, here's our tweak to this thing that we don't really see anybody else doing, but like it makes sense to us and it feels us. Like I think I've been playing a game. This is like a whole other topic, but like I feel like I've been playing a game that sometimes feels like somebody else because that's how I learned. And it's like the emulate and then innovate. Like I'm at the cusp of I need to start innovating, not emulating. And I think many of us do. And I think this is why some people burn out. They keep playing someone else's game. Like, how do you feel like why do you feel like you're losing all the time? Because you're in a race that you never knew you entered, right? Like, and that's why it sucks. Probably you're building somebody else's dream business because that's the only business they know how to design is theirs, and you're mimicking. At some point, you got to adapt and evolve off of that and make it your own. I'm in that stage right now. So all of this, to sort of bring it back, the feedback, I think, to tie a bow, I think I was seeking a nugget that would give me validation to innovate and do something differently that I'm not seeing other people do, in hopes that that would validate it for me when I don't need that validation. That's to bring this back. Mic drop.
We just did 2 episodes in one right there. I think that was a twofer. We should cut that one in half.
All right.
I don't know where we started, but it wasn't here.
No idea. Well, video editor, figure that out. Thank you. Anyway, off the totem pole. Hopefully this is helpful to you guys. I think you're going to have ups and downs. Manage the swings. I hear podcasting is great therapy. So hopefully this served at least one person. Well, I guess 2
Definitely
people. Because it served. Okay, cool. 3 people. It served us too. So
we're good.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Hope you
Greg.
enjoyed. We'll talk soon.